Hi, I'm Michelle Sterling for Friends of Science Society. Issues of consent and climate justice are part of a lot of legislation these days. And one piece of legislation relates to free, informed, and prior consent of First Nations people. It's called the United Nations Declaration for Indigenous Rights. And it sounds good in principle, but this is a plan that's been made in Geneva and not in Canada. And to my surprise, this past week I heard from a number of band leaders that their First Nations do not consent. So Treaty 6, Treaty 7, Treaty 8 do not consent to the UNDRIP legislation, the Bill C-15. And I guess a lot of people are not speaking up in their defense because they don't want to be seen as being racist or something. Well, I'm not afraid of that because I know a lot of First Nations people, and I worked with a number of First Nations people when I was an employment counselor. And many of the people who came to see me, band chiefs, came to see me telling me that their band had 90% unemployment. So there's a group of national coalition of chiefs which is trying to stop poverty on reserve and provide economic opportunity. And they see that as coming through resource development projects hand in hand with various companies. And they're actually afraid that the UNDRIP regulations and legislation will take away the treaty rights that they presently have and the relationship between First Nations and the Crown. But no one's speaking up about this. And in fact, one person told me that when they spoke up against it, they got a lot of angry calls from environmental groups. So what does that tell you? They're not First Nations people. They're working as proxies many times for various corporate interests. So that's the kind of thing that I think is a real risk in regard to UNDRIP. It's a kind of set of legislative laws made in Geneva, not made in Canada. And most of the things that it intends to cover are already covered under Canadian law. So I'm hoping that people will speak up on behalf of these nations, these First Nations, who are trying to bring their people up out of poverty and who don't consent to Bill C-15. It's not climate justice if you're pushing through a law that ignores the very people it's supposed to serve. For Friends of Science Society, I'm Michelle Sterling.